Hey everyone, it's Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well and welcome to episode 6 of my favorite death metal albums. I have another 6 here for you. 6 excellent bangers here. And for those who have been watching my favorite death metal videos and my videos in general, I always show basically mainly old school death metal, death doom, death thrash, black death metal, and things that I love. I don't really listen to too much tech death, brutal death, slam death because not it's not that they don't appeal to me anymore. It's just I just prefer old school death as opposed to them. But I do have my favorite bands within those genres, not as many as I used to, but I still have my favorites. But for mainly this series, I just show old school death metal. And one is classed as industrial death metal because I've shown this in my Metal Vault series so far. So you're going to know it as soon as you see it. Same with a band here that's that swampy, cavernous, disgusting, filthy death metal. Without further ado, let's crack on. First band, and I say from Glastonbury in Somerset, which is not really that far away from Bristol. You can get on the bus there, or if you can drive there. But it's not that far, and it's a really cool place. Go check it out. These guys formed in 2021. They got 3 releases out: a demo, a single, and their debut album, which I'll be showing you now. This is Roots of the Old Oak, and their 2023 debut, The Devil and His Wicked Ways. And what an album this is! Released by Hammerheart Records. These guys class themselves as pagan death doom because a lot of the lyrics are evolved around paganism. There's different lyrical themes on each different song, but definitely evolves around paganism. You can tell by the artwork there. You can get a better picture of the logo here. Really cool logo. And symbol there. One there. The CD there. And there is a band picture in the book. Let's just get that out. So we got Pete Rowland and Mike Rowland. So Pete does guitar and vocals, and Mike does bass, and we have Stuart R. Borgan on drums and vocals. I think I just said your last name wrong, mate. If you are watching this, I do apologize. But he owns a shop in Glastonbury called Rear Raven. So if you love your Viking, anything to do with Vikings, paganism, and also if you love mead, definitely go to that shop and just go to Glastonbury in general. Three of these guys, all 3 of them were in a black metal band called Reign of Ebrus, who I saw at the Griffin a couple years ago now. And Stuart was there because he played on drums for them back in the day. Was one of the original members, I believe. I have to ask him again. Got some lyrics in here. If you love your death metal and your death doom, you're gonna really enjoy these guys. If that's what you prefer the most, you like the slower, heavier side of death metal, then this is a band for you. Definitely if you hear their demo Bloat from 2022, it's very old school My Dying Bride. So think like As the Flower Rivers and Turn Loose the Swans, that era of My Dying Bride. And also, and I think that's a lot of that in the demo and also on this album. So My Dying Bride and early My Dying Bride and early Paradise Lost. So think Lost Paradise. I think more Lost Paradise than Gothic. Maybe a tad of Gothic in there, but definitely early Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride, definitely. And I was talking to Stuart about the band, and at first he did say he just wanted to do a studio project as a studio thing, the band as a studio project, but then thinking that they may want to play live at some point. Who knows? You might be seeing these guys next year because they already got two other members to do live shows with them, but nothing as of yet. Just keep looking on their Facebook, their Instagram, wherever you want to check out what's going on with these guys. Like I do for every video, all the information will be down in the description below of all the bands. So definitely for fans of Death Doom, pick this up. You can get this at the shop in Weird Raven or on the Hammerheart Records website or Bandcamp. Again, all down below. So again, Roots of the Old Oak and the Devil and His Wicked Ways. Now, this one I have shown in my Metal Vault series, all the way from Los Angeles, California, formed in 1990, of course, formed as a different band in 89 and to 1990, and changed their name from Ulceration to a different name, which basically a longer name of the name they got now, and then shortened it to Fear Factory, and this is Soul of a New Machine. Of course, showed this in my Metal Vault episode. I need to remind myself what episode this is. I think this was episode 5. I was going to say episode 6, but good thing I had my channel up when I did. But yeah, definitely an album people need in their collection. I've said that before, but this is one that is necessary. And like I said earlier, it's industrial death metal. And I think it's the only album they did around that time that was basically the only death metal album they did, which includes a lot of samples like industrial sounds. And of course, when you hear it, you hear those death metal riffs and go slightly melodic. And then, of course, you go with Burton's vocals that goes, there's like growls and grunts, and then it goes to cleans, or as he said in the interview that I've mentioned with Vanessa Rorke, she said a serene type of voice, and then he repeated it. So yeah, like his cleans. Definitely an album that people need. And I heard it again very recently, and there's a reason why this is one of my favorite albums by theirs, and just one of my favorite albums in general. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Of course, I'll show the CD again with the double F there. Who did what in the band, even though Andrew did not do the bass on this. He joined the band after this album was pretty much done. Did all the tours from 92 to 93. I want to say that's the case. Could be completely wrong on that, but let me just get that out. But you can have a look at the book again. The artwork I do really enjoy. Andrew. Well, it was yeah, 92 to 93. Thought he did longer. I don't know why I thought he did longer. Anyway, whoever got to see Fear Factory on pretty much the tours they did, pretty much toured this entire album. Then jealous of you guys because you got lyrics and the double F there, but in red. Absolutely love this album. I know I say that a lot, but gotta say it. Of course, released by Roadrunner Records. Everyone knows that label. Released so much during the when it comes to death metal, a lot of that in the 90s. A lot earlier stuff as well, 80s and 90s, list goes on. Not much more I can say about this because a lot of people know it, but anyone brand new to Fear Factory and is not familiar with this album, you need to get it. So here we are, Fear Factory and Soul of a New Machine. Right, some dirty, disgusting, horrible death metal. But let's get a drink in first. This band formed in 2008 in Copenhagen, Denmark. I've seen these guys only twice. I missed them this year at the Acropolis, which was in London, but I'm getting to the next one, as I've said before. Saw them at the Griffin in 2019, and then again at Scandinavia Death Fest in 2019 as well. And these guys have become one of my favorite death metal bands just because of how disgusting and filthy their sound is. This is Undergang and their 2020 release, and I always think that I'm gonna say this wrong or it doesn't sound right, but Aldrig Elvet. Really just solid, disgusting filthiness this is from Dark Descent there. Yeah, sorry, just gonna there we go. Of course, I've had David there, right there in the middle on the chat. Really cool guy. If you ever met him in person, he is a top bloke and has a record label and a shop himself called Extremely Rotten Productions, which I need to go to whenever I go back to Denmark because I haven't been there since I was a kid. But there's the artwork there. See the band a bit better there. Band pictures there. And some lyrics. There, no, I don't think they did any lyrics. No, right, there we go. So the other things were who did what in the band picture there. And of course, all the lyrics are written in Danish, of course, being from Denmark. And of course, David's vocals are very low and just disgusting, sickly sounding, which definitely fits the music. Of course, we've got the CD here. Of course, he is doing all that in Danish. And there's not very many bands from the countries that they're from who sing in their native tongue. Well, I say singing, he's just he's just making that disgusting, filthy sound that's just spewing from his mouth, and that's just how you describe Undergang in general. That's how I describe them. They're just, again, it's pure, filthy, disgusting, nasty, swampy, cavernous, horrible death metal. And I like that stuff. As I love my old school death metal, but when it comes to that cavernous sound, definitely Undergang, Hyperdontia, Anatomia, Morbific, bands like that. And if you're not familiar with those bands, check them out. If you are into that, if you love your disgusting filthiness. This is one for the collection. I have most of the albums now. I haven't got the new one yet. I think there's either album or EP. I think it's an album, but I'll double check that. So once again, this is Undergang and Underg Elvet. I just said that one, so I do apologize. Next one from Denver, Colorado. Formed in 2012, got to see these guys in 2018 and 2019, and seen for the other members in a different band. You're gonna know who this is as soon as I pick them up. This is disgusting death doom. like I mentioned with Undergang, that's filthy, swampy, cavernous, horrible death metal. That's basically this band, but slower and heavy, slower. Both of these bands are really heavy in their own right, and this is Spectral Voice and their 2017 album, Eroded Corridors of Unbeing. And they are releasing a new album this year, sorry, next year, and I can't wait. That came with this little sleeve here. I'm trying to remember. I think I bought this from when they played in 2019 when they here in Bristol because they were headlining. They were doing a tour, and I got the long sleeve with the tour dates on it. That's the back of the album. Also a Dark Descent release. Got the CD there. I'll show it that way to the show it like that. There you go. Can't really see that, but there's a little symbol in the middle there. The artwork again, and cool artwork there. Love that stuff. All there, and I think there's a picture of the band, or just silhouette of their heads. But there you go. Just shows you what sort of music you're getting yourself into, what sort of stuff you're getting yourself into. Yeah, I was just saying there's a back now band picture. Just trying to figure out what it was. But yeah, I love this stuff. I just can't get enough of heavy, nasty, dark death metal, death doom. Because three of the guys in this band are also in Blood Incantation, who I got to see last year in London. And that was the only UK show, and it sold out rather quick, and I was so glad I got my ticket. I want to see these guys again because they're heavy live, and I first saw them with Demilich when they played the Boston Music Room in 2018, which also had my mate's band, Sodomized Cadaver from Wales. And there was two American bands on the bill, these guys and Necrot. And Necrot and Spectral Voice both blew me away. Because when I first saw these guys, they had candles lit on stage, and they were still playing as soon as the candles were blown out. They were still playing. They were just playing in complete pitch darkness. And I'm just going back to that night, and that just sums up the music. It sums up this sums up the entire album. It's heavy, it's dark, I haven't used the word yet, but it's very foreboding. And it's just a banger. Just you can't go wrong with something like this. And I can name other bands who are like this that will even have that same amount of energy, that same amount of darkness, that same amount of disgusting heavy death doom. And of course, another favorite logo of mine there. But this is one. If anyone's like not who they are, well, again, go in the description below, and you can find these guys on their socials and just play them on wherever you listen to music, preferably, or if you even got the album. For those who know this band, put it on again. But everyone that doesn't pick it up and put it on, you won't be disappointed. This is Spectral Voice and Eroded Corridors of Unbeing. Now, on to two classics, and this will be the end. And I'll let you guys get on with your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. A band from Stockholm, Sweden, formed in 1989. I have talked about these guys on my first favorite Metal Underground releases. That was my first pop, Sweden. And these guys did reform some years back. I'm trying to remember right now, but they did split up for a while. And I got their debut here. And this is Epitaph and their 1992 debut, Seeming Salvation. And it's some awesome Swedish death metal. It's not HM2, what you would expect. And I love a lot of the HM2 death metal, be it from Sweden or even here or America or Germany, whichever band has that HM2 and pretty much inputs it into their band. It doesn't have that at all, and I do like Swedish bands that are not necessarily HM2. Of course, you've got the band there, song titles there, the logo there, band there as well. And they did a split with Excruciate, who I've shown in one of my other episodes of my favorite death metal albums. Now, a lot of people probably won't have this album in their collection. Let's show the book again. Might work there. But or you might actually do, you might have got it back in the day, but I've mentioned albums that were overlooked so much over the years. Oh, this is definitely in that list of albums overlooked, because obviously you had all the bigger death metal bands around that time, bands that were basically talked about most in like fanzines, magazines, like the magazines like Kerrang and Metal Hammer. The fanzines would talk more about bands like this. We got a picture there, and of course I mentioned Excruciate, and he's wearing an Excruciate shirt. Oh, yeah, of course the drummer is the vocalist. Like, again, to mention with Spectral Voice, the vocalist is the drummer, Eli. Got to speak to him in Bristol, really cool guy. Of course, when they played live, they had a here we go. Yeah, rhythm guitars for live shows, but they are primarily a free piece. And I believe that's about it for band pictures. Quickly get through the last one. And there we go. A band definitely worth your time. An album definitely needed for your collection. I first heard this band, I don't know how many years back now, but I found them type like death metal band list on YouTube, just something along those lines, and these guys popped up. Yeah. What a band, what an album. Get it if you don't have it. Epitaph and Seeming Salvation. Now, onto a band from the Netherlands. Formed in 1986. They're still going strong today. Of course, the lineups have changed. Of course, a lot of bands do have lineup changes. And of course, for the first band, it's been the same members. This band has had numerous different lineup changes, but the lineup I'm going with has one of my favorite vocalists within death metal. I have their 1989 album here. I've yet to have their debut. The debut is awesome. And of course, the album after this one is awesome as well. Of course, I am talking about Pestilence. And here is the 1989 release, Consuming Impulse. Consuming Impulse. What an album. Was listening to it, well, yesterday now. Started recording this late Tuesday evening. It is now early Wednesday morning. And this will be going out today. What an album. What a band. Yet to see him live. And of course, the man that I mentioned, who is one of my favorite vocalists, let's get the CD, is that man right there, Martin van Drunen. Of course, now in Asphyx, has been in Asphyx since, I think, yeah, since 1990, because the last time he was in this band was 1990. Did some shows after this album was released, and then after that, he left. Patrick is still in the band today. The other two guys are not. So Marco on drums, which would be that guy there, and of course, I would say Patrick M on lead guitars is still in the band, but Patrick U, which is him, he's not in the band anymore, as far as I know. Of course, we've got the cover here. And I'll be very surprised if no one's actually heard this band or this album. I'll be very surprised, but then I'm going to get comments saying, oh, I know this album is an absolute fucking amazing album. Yeah, definitely. From start to finish, just absolutely brutal. You know, brutal in that old school way, because obviously this is from 1989. This album is 34 years old. I was trying to think. It's 2023. This came out in 89. So, yeah, freaking sick stuff. You need it. If you don't have it, death metal veterans, I know you have it. But I'm trying to get more people into the old school death metal. The more, you know, just that side of death metal, because I know there's a lot of people that listen to more brutal death and the newer stuff. I mean, I listen obviously old school death metal from, like, you know, late 80s, early 90s, and even modern day old school death metal bands, like that old school death metal sound, but in the modern day. So Roadrunner Records, and I was trying to think what other album there. No, that's not Roadrunner, but this one is. Of course, we have the back here. The first song I ever heard by Pestilence is Out of the Body. I have heard the re-recorded version. I don't like that one as much. I prefer the original version from this album, because I just prefer Martin's vocals on this one as opposed to Patrick's vocals on the re-recorded one. I like Patrick's vocals in Testimony of the Ancients and, you know, it's Spheres. But when it came to that re-recorded version, I didn't particularly like it, but if you do, then that's cool. But I just prefer the original. But definitely get this. Highly recommended. Same on the other albums. Pestilence and Consuming Impulse. And that is it for another episode of my favorite death metal albums. There are loads more to come of this series. Of course, we are in December, so it is basically coming closer to the end of the year now. Pretty much 2-3 weeks basically until we get to New Year's Eve, and then that's it. We get into 2024, and I got a lot more to do then. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope I got some new albums for anyone who's not heard these albums before. Reignited some memories for all you veterans out there. And that's, you know, that's why I do these videos. So there's either people saying, didn't know that album, so I got them into a new album, or those like completely forgot about that album. And it's ignited some memories from when they first heard it. And, you know, I just like doing these videos because I like when people say that they've never heard this album before, or they haven't heard the album in such a long time, put it back on, like, and they say like a superb album, and all these I've shown you and more I got coming, or superb. But anyway, I've been Jake at Jake's Metal Chat, and keep that banner of metal held high. Another my Metal Vault episode coming this Saturday, so keep your eye out on that. And I will see you all in the next one.